or not.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. We are live this morning. This isn't a pre-recording, so be warned. It could go any way, but it will be a better way. That's for certain. Welcome to Friday morning, everybody, and you've made it to the end of another week. If you're listening back to this throughout the week or whenever, or it's now Christmas time, that's just odd thinking about it. When you're listening to this, then hello to you too. But you don't experience the liveness of this, but you can still enjoy the conversation. Marianne, how are you? We ought to call this episode, wait a minute, I need to get my sock on, because that's what you just said to me before we went on air.
I took my shoes off. And
yeah,
I've got,
and it pulled your sock away
very,
with it.
very bright trainers here. Look at those. And as I took them off, they're not very, they're very light, but my sock came off as well because the sock evidently likes the trainer.
Yeah.
So it wanted to stay in there. But I'm okay, but I'm cold. We're in hoodie season now.
We are.
And I was thinking, who did I say this to? The other day, I can't remember who. How, you know, like when it's my hairdresser, that was it. I haven't seen her since before I went on holiday. And I said, it's really funny, isn't it? You go on holiday and you have your tan and it's there. And then you're sort of like moisturize. I don't know if you go through this, Graham, but
no.
I do.
Lovely.
And you keep being hopeful that the tan's not gone and you haven't peeled. I don't think I did this year actually, but so you're like hoping you're going to be all like fresh faced. And my hairdresser said, she says, my skin look a funny colour. She's got ADHD as well, so it's great. We just like get on with it. Yeah. And I went, no, why? She said, well, I've used some of those like tanning drops and I think it looks a bit bright. And I said, no, you've got the same skin colour as me because I use them anyway. It just adds a little bit of like.
What's a tanning drop?
It's just like, you know, like when you have a self tanner.
Right.
I just sometimes would drop some in my moisturiser and it just adds a little bit of like.
Wow.
Vavoom to your face or something.
Right.
But not a lot. Not a lot. So, like when your holiday tan's going, you're like, oh, I keep doing that. And then you're in shorts and you've got trainers. And what was the other thing I was thinking? Leggings. I was wearing my short ones. So now I'm on like the long leggings now for the gym. Yeah. And then hoodies. And now I'm in my body warmer that's long. And I thought, wow. Oh, and the other one was I had to have the fan on cold in the bedroom because it's hot up there because I'm in the loft. But now that's off and I've got a heater under the desk. So we kind of go from that summer vibe. Oh, and boots. I had my boots on yesterday. And I thought, long since gone now, has that summer vibe. And we go from that, don't we? We transition. Oh, I've lost you.
You haven't lost me. I just thought I'd move. Long has it gone since like shorts and a t-shirt? Yeah, that is true.
You know what I mean? But it's like before you know it, you're sort of like in it, and you're still grasping on to wearing trainers and shorts and that sort of stuff, and then you're like, it's nearly Christmas.
Yeah.
That's not.
Well, there's a depressing thought for everyone. It's 90 something days till Christmas, isn't it? For anyone that's listening to this live. By the way, I can see a few people are listening live. If you want to comment at any point, please do put a comment in the thing. On the tan thing, and I'm gonna bring our guest in here as well.
I did do a post actually this week about the tan, about a certain orange tan.
So Lisa's joining us, and Lisa has just been to Magaluf, and Lisa has a tan. So I feel like this is a great opportunity to bring her in and join in the whole tan conversation. So let's meet Lisa. Hi, Lisa. You have a tan. That's nice.
I have a little bit of a tan.
Yeah, because you've been to Magaluf, etc. What I find is when I go on holiday, I get a little bit of a tan. I try not to get a tan. My point is I try not to get a tan, right? So I smother myself in factor 1 million. And I also try and sit out of the sun as much as possible, right? Because I just feel like I hate sitting in the sun. You get burnt. And
I wear factor 50, so
Yeah, but you immediately get hot as well, and then you just don't. I don't want to do anything. So
You're grumpy dad. You're grumpy dad.
Lay on the sunbed, in and out the pool, in and out the pool. That's it.
I love going in the pool, right? Because that's like active. There's for me, there's nothing worse than going on holiday and just lying on a sunbed. Oh, it drives me nuts.
Music.
No, I can't sit still. I can't just do that. And and also the scenery is pretty boring around the swimming pool. Whatever, it's just people jumping in and out of it. Well, actually, most of the time, it's worrying about where your kids are. That's what it is. Are they still alive? So it's better being in the pool because then right? If you're actually with your kids, you know that your kids are safe. If the kids are somewhere in a mass of people in a swimming pool, and it's not the kids' fault, right? It's our adults. When you go on holiday to like to a hotel or whatever, and there's like other families there, it's not the kids that are a problem. It's the other adults. It's the adults that are acting like idiots in the swimming pool.
We always go. I'm quite fortunate because mine don't like lots of noise.
Yeah.
Except Samuel likes going to Metallica concerts, but that's just another thing. But they don't like all that noise and commotion, so we always find the quiet pool to go to, which absolutely suits me. Because on holiday this year, when we ventured to the other pool, wow, no,
it's chaos, isn't it?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's chaos. What about you then, Lisa? So, how do you enjoy your holiday?
Well, this one was a girly holiday, so this was a long weekend. So it had a slightly different tinge to it, shall we say? So we did, so we went on the Friday and came back late on Tuesday evening, and we just had a really good time.
Cool. Any tattoos?
Bingo.
Come back with anything that you shouldn't have?
Absolutely not. Just a bit of a burnt forehead and a burnt nose this time. It's just nice. Just sat around the pool, relaxing, chatting. You know what a group of women are like. We don't stop talking from the minute we get up to the minute we go to bed. So so my voice is also starting to go because I did do a little bit of karaoke as well.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
What was the karaoke go to?
I did What's Up, Full Non-Blondes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's a good song. I like that one.
That is a good song. Well, it's a great song because everyone will join in with the chorus as well.
Exactly. So it could drown me out.
It's one of those songs where like a lot of people don't actually know the words to the verses. So you've got to kind of make it through that. But I guess if everybody's
I was thinking yesterday, I was walking to go and pick Oliver up from rugby. And all of a sudden, no, it wasn't. I was driving. And all of a sudden, isn't it amazing how a song can come on from like years ago? Just like from like Lisa, I haven't seen you for years and we spoke yesterday forever. And so Sophie B. Hawkins, right beside me. I was singing that like it was just out yesterday and it was 1994. And I was singing it and dancing in the car as if like I was some kind of
Sophie B.
Hawkins. I knew all the words.
There's a blast from the past. Yeah, but I have a theory about this. We know music from the past and the lyrics better than we know lyrics and music now, right? And part of that is because we used to actually spend money on it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think it's because we probably had more time for actually listening to music and we probably dedicated more time to actually listening to it. But also just the way that music is disseminated to people now is different. And like years ago, like stuff would go onto the radio and into the charts and it would stick around for weeks in the charts and you'd be invested in actually helping that go up the charts. Yeah. And whatever. Nowadays, like some of the stuff in the charts is stuff that's like years old because it's just come back on an advert. It's all the charts is all over the place. They should just knock it on its head.
Do they even have one still?
Well, I couldn't even tell you what was number one.
Right, exactly. No one's invested in it. No one's invested in it. But also, yeah, it's partly because we actually went out and we bought this stuff.
I do on my Alexa though. I do have it so it has the lyrics, and I do it on my phone because I actually now got to the point. I mean, I love dance music and I love stuff that makes me feel happy, but I do now quite like having the lyrics on there because I do like to know.
But I bet you don't do what you used to do when you used to have records and tapes and whatever.
A little.
No, which is like you put it on and then it would
dance.
finish and then you go back and you'd put it on again and then you'd go back and you'd put it on.
Graham, I've got ADHD. That's what I do.
What? So you literally go, Alexa, again?
Yes.
Again, you're in the minority. You are in the minority. Do you know what? Most people, the way they listen to music these days is they listen and they go, next, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Next. 20.
No,
oh, yeah, I listened to loads of music this morning. What? You listen to 20 seconds of each track? Yeah, it's great. Oh, I feel so sorry for artists because they spend months, years writing music. They put it out there and people listen to 20 seconds of it.
This goes along with some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about today. And I phoned Lisa yesterday and kind of bullied her on coming on here. But I met Lisa how many years ago?
Oh gosh,
7 years ago. 7?
It's 2016.
Yeah.
Wow.
15, 16.
Wow,
which actually, when you hear that as a date, doesn't sound that long ago, does
and then
it?
you do the maths and you're like, yes.
But when you do the maths, it's ridiculous.
My maths serves me right, but it's nearly 10 years. So yeah, I met Lisa when I taught her in a cemetery.
Yes, it was.
I did.
There are now lots of people watching or listening to this at home going, in a cemetery.
It was a cemetery.
Okay.
So,
you have to expand on that pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, I was freelancing at the time. I think it was when I first started out actually freelancing. I'd had a job as a teacher trainer, and then I was freelancing and I was teaching the AET, the Award in Education and Training. So I was teaching to teach. And Lisa was on the course and we hit it off. Remember, we spoke afterwards and then we've sort of kept in contact and we do the usual, we must. And I've had quite a few ideas and Lisa does similar stuff to me. And then yesterday I rang her and said, look, there's this thing that we must do. And then I think about 2.5 hours later, we came off the phone and I bullied her into coming on here.
You did bully me into coming on here, but it was fine. It's fine.
And
we did have a 2.5 hour conversation.
It was. So Lisa can tell you about herself. Graham, I'm taking over your job now. Sorry about that. Lisa,
do tell us about you.
Okay, yeah. So after I obviously met Marianne and I did my AET, I was a trainer for a company and training manager for 3 homes, and then decided that I was going to go out myself and set up Coath, which is a training provider, which is now multi-sector. My background is health and social care originally, which is where I found my love for teaching and training because of having to do all of my qualifications to get to where I wanted to be, and equally finding what was good training and what wasn't quite so good training when you're working in a sector where it's really important that you've got that real good vocational understanding as to what you need to do your job. So that was where my passion was born from for going into teaching, and then decided I was going to do it myself. So Coath is a training provider for qualifications and your CPD training. And then we also have now branched out into alternative education for children that aren't at school, which is also another passion that's very close to my heart, with having children that struggled at school, didn't fit in through different degrees of being on the spectrum, and therefore I thought, let's do that. Let's now see if we can really shine in that area. So we do that in Swindon and in Tall Bay. Yeah, so we're quality assured by both councils, which has been a new project which has just started this year, which keeps me out of trouble. Yeah, so it keeps me very busy.
Wow. So you still need to expand on the graveyard thing.
Oh yeah, we didn't touch on that bit, did we? So,
well, yeah. no one wants to touch on the graveyard. All right. I mean, you could write a novel about it, but it wouldn't have a plot.
Well, it would. It's just not a very big one.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Could be a good Halloween one for the end of October coming up.
So what? Why the graveyard?
It's just the venue where they had the training.
Oh, and where was it? Where was it?
Arnos Vale in.
Was it in the dead centre of a town, or?
It was quiet.
Arnos Vale in Bristol. They've got it's beautiful there, isn't it? It is actually really beautiful. And they've got what are those things called? My memory is terrible at the moment. Chapel, that's the word. They've got a chapel. And actually, where you teach, I remember saying to somebody, you see that bit there where the glass is? They're like, yeah. I said, well, if you go downstairs, you'll see there's a model mock-up of like the whole of the bit where the coffins would go down, and the bit where the glass is where they would lower the coffin down into the furnace, which is still there. They don't use it now. There is a furnace there, but they don't use that one.
So we all did go down and have a little look. Just to see.
So it is a really good venue. It is a good venue. So, and there's lots of things actually when just to sort of lead on about the teaching bit, because I can today, because that's what this is all about. That what was really good about there was that it's a venue that's got a very high ceiling. It's quite cold in there, so you have heaters that come on. In the summer, the doors open, so sometimes cats walk in. People are their gardeners strimming. There is a point to this. My point being there that when you're teaching people how to teach, it's great to give examples of what you do if such and such happens. So I got in a bit of a professional 2 and 8 with somebody following Harry Snape's one of the clips we put on from last week when he was on. So qualified teacher, knows his stuff, and was saying about the guided learning hours. And Lisa, this is something that you'll appreciate. He was saying about how when qualifications are delivered just via e-learning, so let's just say the AET, which I was saying about, that actually, on a more serious note, it doesn't meet the guided learning hours, which is where you have that tutor contact. So this particular person was saying, well, e-learning can be great. I said, absolutely it can be. And I'm not throwing it out completely. But, and he said, you can have, people can submit questions. And I said, but as somebody myself, I would need to ask lots of questions. So you can't do it that way. So that venue was brilliant because I would always, when I was teaching, be relating what I was doing. So there was one day there was 3 heaters in there. There was 2 behind me and then 1 in front. And then when the thermostat reached a certain level, the heaters would go on. So then I'd have to change my my level of talking, not shouting, but talking according to that. Then you get somebody that's sat at the back that says, oh, I've got a hearing impairment. And you're like, okay, cool. I can't ask them to move, but I'm going to have to deal with this. So then that meant I very discreetly switched the back heater off. Then you're then watching that sometimes the heater wouldn't work, and then people put their jackets on, and I'm like, right, okay. Now their jackets on, that probably means that they're cold. That probably means they're not concentrating as much when you look at Maslow's hierarchy. But actually, it might just be they're quite a cold person as well. So I'm then watching, are they acting like somebody who might be? Can I strike up that conversation where I can try and find out from them if they are somebody that's cold? Because I might say, oh, it's a bit chilly in here. I always wear layers. And they go, yeah, I'm a really cold person. So I'm like, right, I haven't got to worry about that person because they're cold. And that, I don't know if you would agree, Lisa, but that's the sort of stuff that if you don't learn to do it, you're not aware of that stuff. And a lot of it is my psychology background, but
it's about reading the room, isn't it? Yeah. It's about understanding, because when you're teaching somebody, you are capturing their attention because you need them to be learning the information that you're giving them. So if they're not on board and they're not listening and you're not interesting enough, and you're not imparting that knowledge, that they're going to switch off. So they're not going to get anything from that training that you're delivering, or the education or the teaching. And I think that that's something that happens across the board. I think we've got that not only just in sort of like training. You can see when you're delivering a course, people sort of start to glaze over and switch off. So that's when you're reading the room to say, right, okay, I need to switch this up a little bit, because I need to gain their traction again, because I want them to be involved. That to me is what a good trainer and educator is.
Absolutely.
Whereas you get a lot of people that go in, they just say what they need to say, and then they're gone again. And you think, well, I like to know that people have listened to what I've said, they've taken on board, they've learned, they've got something to take away from it.
Yeah.
And that you need to know that. And I think that's one of the things I picked up when I did my AD with you. It's being able to understand people's needs and differences and capturing all those things. So I think it's massively important. And it goes right through to school as well, doesn't it?
It does. My son walked down the road this morning and he was saying, oh, God, thank goodness I've only got this one particular teacher every fortnight now. And I said, oh, what does he teach you? Because I think he does French, but he does RS as well. And I said, it's a real shame, I said, because it could be a subject you really love, but that teacher wrecks it then, because you dread going to that lesson, and it's the same. And I love it when people would often come to the training, and I'd always start off by saying, out of respect, because probably most of us don't want to go somewhere and have to learn stuff. So I spoke to somebody last night that I know, a guy John in America that I know, and we were talking about why people may be anti-learning. So they may have been teaching for a long time, and I teach a lot of people that have already been doing the job. So I do start off at the beginning by respecting them for what they've been doing, because they've been doing the job. But trying to say that, look, by doing this, it will do a number of things. Number one, you'll be more confident. So you will do what you do with more intention. Because if you haven't learned how to do something, essentially, you're probably breathing a sigh of relief that it went right when you finished. And the other thing is sort of knowing why you're doing what you're doing. So when someone looks out the window, when they do this, when they do that, that you're anticipating why. Because I read this guy then was then saying, I think a lot of people, he goes in and does a lot of consultancy work, and he was saying, I am that person that says, actually, if you've done it right from the beginning, and spent the money then, you wouldn't be spending so much money now trying to fix the problem. So he said, essentially, my business thrives on it, but actually, that's the actual fact of it. But he said, I think a lot of it is that people don't want to hear that they're doing it wrong or a way that's not as effective. So I think part of that is that when you do work with people, it's, for me, I would congratulate somebody for what they've done and make a thing of that, but then working with them to show them that actually you can be better. You can be an even better version of who you are. And I remember learning that. I worked at a school once, and I remember one of the managers saying, one of the rare good ones, saying, when we gave feedback to the kids, you'd say what went well and even better if. So it was, you did this well, but actually if you did this, you'd be even better. And so I think what does sadden me is, and the more and more I hear, you see it in the care sector, how many people don't have that grounding, that education, that training on how to do it. So yesterday I read a post which I will have shared by the time. Oh, no, because we're live now, aren't we? So I'll share it later. Somebody saying that her wife had some training, and they would only pass their probation period if they passed the training. If they passed it, it meant the employee was good, and if they didn't, it was the trainer's fault. And I was like, what? So I obviously came on and I said, but the issue, there's a number of issues here. It could be the trainer's, excuse me, fault, but actually it's often because they're ill prepared. If they're self-employed and they choose not to educate themselves, yes, that's on them.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree? I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
You can invest in yourself. If you're going to charge people money to learn from you, quite frankly, I see it's hypocritical if you're not going to invest in yourself and learn from someone else. However, the other people are the people that are employed who often aren't even given the opportunity to learn. So they literally are being set up to fail and potentially fail those employees or learners or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And so I was quite horrified, but not surprised. Because nobody listens lots of people don't listen when I say this stuff.
Lisa, from your perspective, why do you feel like, the idea of doing education properly, outside of the school system in particular, but why do you feel like that is falling on deaf ears a lot of the time at the moment?
I think that the system, unfortunately, is broken. The education system is broken, and that has been for a very long time. When you think about when education started, we're looking at a system where people have changed. We've changed. Our children have changed. I think we've noticed that a lot as the generations have gone on. And therefore, one size does not fit all. It is a slogan that I use all the time. We are all individuals and we're all different and we all have different needs. So therefore, trying to educate everybody all in the same way over and over again, it's very monotonous. It's the same thing. It doesn't meet their needs. And therefore, a lot of children refuse to go to school because they're like, I'm not getting anything from this. I don't want to sit and do geography because I don't want to do geography. Yes, there are some choices, but the choices that they're given, they don't always get. When my son went there, he didn't get the options that he wanted for every single subject because of how many children were taking the classes or how many teachers or what provision there is. Yeah. So there's lots of things that's an issue.
We'll give you a choice. So my son, we asked him to be moved tutor groups. The tutor last year said, I think it might, or head of year said, I think it might benefit him if we move him into another tutor group. He's not naughty. He's about to be assessed for ADHD. He's not naughty. He's not like, whatever, if you want to say the word bad. It's just low-key arguing back. And I'm like, oh God, I brought my son up to be like me a bit, but he's just got less.
They question everything. They question everything. They question authority today.
Exactly. So when he went back 2 days before, he said they haven't moved my tutor group. And I went, oh God. So I'm already thinking there's going to be loads of emails through. But I dread the one that says class charts. There's been an event. And I never know whether the event is
good or bad.
I don't know. So I'm always like braced for that. And then when he comes home from school, he walks down towards me. And it's really difficult because I sometimes see it from the point as a parent. I see the point as him, and I see the point as a teacher, having been one myself. And I sometimes just think, really, like, why did you? The other day, he got a detention for he called a can't answer out, which I probably would. Any of us probably would. You know what I mean? And lots of other people did. And then the other bit was he yawned. It may have been an exaggerated one, who knows? But like literally. So then he said to me, "We've now got to write about why we're in detention." So the first question is, why are you in detention? I yawned, and I thought, oh God. And he said the next question was, why did you yawn? Because I felt the need to. Who was affected? Nobody. Absolutely nobody was affected because they didn't see me yawn. And the next bit is, what will you do next time? Try not to yawn. I mean, you know, you can't help but, you know, he's laughing and I'm going, I know. So, and I just think it goes through from being children to, you know, being asked for that option of, do you want this? Do you want that? And like you said, your son didn't then get them. He didn't get moved tutor groups. So then they think, well, don't bother asking me then.
Yeah.
If you're not going to take it on board. And one of the biggest things I say is that obviously people would expect teachers to be qualified, wouldn't they?
You would think,
expect they would learn. I think there's a whole lot more that needs to be done there. So then when people become adults, I don't see why people don't think it's important that they are qualified to teach, because not only have you got kids that have needs, those adults don't stop having them. They don't stop. They actually start carrying more baggage and stuff and barriers with them.
But I'm very interested in this from one of the things that was said a minute ago. And by the way, David, thank you for listening today. And thanks for, he says he's a kinesthetic learner, which means, for people that don't understand that, means that he learns by doing.
Yeah.
And he said the education system didn't as a whole work for him, which, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will resonate with that. But I was interested in the authority bit of it, because I understand that. I understand that people challenge, youngsters challenge authority, etc. But as I'm going to play devil's advocate, but has that become part of the problem, right? Which is that ultimately, when we went to school, you did what you were told.
Yeah.
And that worked really well.
I'm not saying it. No, I'm not going to say it worked really well.
People went under the radar, so they wouldn't have been as vocal about not getting an education or not listening.
But also, you were told that you had to stick at it, right? And now, and again, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong or whatever, but when we start taking the authority bit out of it, or taking authority in learning out of it, it starts to create a little bit of the problem. And we've seen that, Marianne, in terms of like organizational learning and whatever, because actually what's happened now is people have shifted the focus not on authority of learning and who actually has the authority to teach either as well, but it's all about, is it popular, right? Are we doing it because it's popular, right? The problem with that is, and you showed me an example of this morning, is that then learning fits into a marketing mold. It doesn't fit into a learning mold anymore. You showed me somebody showing on LinkedIn a cheat sheet for creating a course, right? And when I read through it, and that was my comment on it as well, basically what they were saying was, make your people happy and you will be happy, right? In other words, if you want to create a great course, give the people what they want. That's what all marketers we've spoken to marketers in the past, Marianne, and they say, if you want to blow up big on any channel or whatever, stop making the content that you believe in or that you want, and make the content that the people want, right? But then there's a dumbing down in all of that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the problem. Now people are making content, or people are making training, and people are delivering stuff, not because it's great for us, because ultimately some learning is painful. If all learning was, it's just about the experience, it's just all easy, it doesn't really matter, whatever, then
you're not growing.
You're not growing. If you've actually got to go, I've got to spend hours revising this and I've got to learn it, and it's actually hard, right? That's hard stuff. And if we just dampen it down to being a nice experience, then there's going to be stuff that gets missed out. There's going to be fundamentals that get left out of that learning experience. And I think that could be a problem.
It is, not could. It is. I think it's one of the problems I think you've got is, because I think we talked about it yesterday, Lisa, maybe, And I spoke to my hairdresser. She said, oh, I did a personal training course. And she laughed at herself for this. She said, literally, it was e-learning. It was terrible. She said, I had my window open. I was smoking a fag as I was doing the thing. And she said, that would have qualified me to do the job.
Wow.
She said, and yet, interestingly, I find a lot of neurodivergent people, actually, they know those shortcuts. They probably do them, but they actually have got the integrity to say, actually, I'm not going to do that role because of it. But there are huge amounts of people who do the necessary to get them it. And I think the issue you've got is that because everything now is quick, fast, and you're encouraged to do it fast. So I sell my program over 3 days, unless I do it in the prison, which is 4 days. I've done it over 5 days. I think it should be, to be quite honest. But the issue you've got then is because lots of other training companies, the bigger ones, are selling things fast and cheap. People buying that training, not individuals generally, because I find if people buy from me as an individual, they will invest and they don't quibble the price. Bigger businesses just want the cheap bits.
They want the tick box exercise.
They want the tick box. But then what happens is everything's, people are encouraged, go and get it the quickest possible way because we need you to hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, but they're not actually hitting the ground running. They're probably going to fall over and then make lots of mistakes. The finger gets pointed back to them for having made the mistake. And I'm like, but if right at the beginning you'd invested in that employee properly, then you probably wouldn't
have the problems later on down the line.
Yeah. And do you know what? This is where I feel like all of this comes back to another conversation that I have elsewhere about where work is going and company culture and all of that side of things, which is that I just feel we're trying that. One of the main reasons I feel like we're seeing burnout exponentially increase is because the pace at which we're trying to take people through their life and their work experience is too fast. We're just not giving people time to be people. Right, we're not giving them time to actually absorb any information properly. We're not giving people information properly and making them work at stuff. What we're doing is we're just trying to, as you say, we're just trying to fast track people all of the time, and it's too much for people. We don't need that as human beings, right? We need, like the reason that a lot of our generation look back with rose-tinted glasses to, like, growing up in the 80s or growing up in the 1970s is because, we would finish school and we'd go out and we'd kick a ball around the wreck for 2 hours, and then we'd come home late and, we'd have a little bit of homework and it was all right.
But we were all living in the moment. We were all present.
We were all there, and we were just we were growing up, and we were learning life stuff as we went and whatever. And now, we're all sitting at the school of YouTube, like trying to fill our brains with I got to get this next skill down and out. A lot of youngsters these days, they just feel like they're on a treadmill right from an early age, and it's horrible.
It's not their fault, and it's. I don't really even know where the fault even lies. It just feels as if, go on.
Sorry, no, it's just I think when we were young, we could make mistakes. We could be who we were. We could turn ourselves into who we needed to be, and we weren't judged for it.
Yeah.
Because it's part of growing. Whereas now everything is on social media. And don't get me wrong, I think social media is great. It's got its thing. Yeah. But children are surrounded and they live in a fishbowl because they are judged for everything they do. Any mistake they make, it's being recorded. Because what do we see now? Anything happens, the phone's out and people are recording. Any accidents, incidents, they're always recording it. So they can't just be, they can't make mistakes because they live in fear.
Even at school, the pressure, teachers, like I've often said, it kind of starts in school in that teachers have to get kids through, don't they? So my son passed his SATs for his maths. He did have a reader. They gave him a reader because they were aware there was issues. What happened after the SATs? They took the reader away. He got no support. So they literally
funding cut.
Yeah, no, they just made it because they were outstanding in school and they needed him to get that. So they took that back. So the teachers do everything. The kids then go to secondary school. The teachers, and I know because I've been there, there's so much pressure on them to make sure these kids succeed. So then they get to, and I've lived this, they then get to sixth form. So when I worked in a school, we had students, we were trying to get them to come onto the courses. So psychology, I was teaching. And one of the students was an A grade. She'd done a AS level. And they said, why don't you carry on to do A level? And she said, I just want to go and have a gap year. I want to go and be a lifeguard. I want to do all these things. Oh, no. They said to me, try and persuade her. I said, I'm not persuading anybody to do that. And it was all because they got the funding. So then we then want them to go to university. And then what happens is, whether it's university or jobs or whatever, I feel like because we've never let people make mistakes or fail, if you want to call it that, and they have to be on this sort of treadmill, as you said, they don't really ever learn, what they probably want to do.
Because they're also afraid of failure, because they're
not they never have.
Judged.
But they also never actually have, because somebody's been saving their bacon all the time. So I worked at a school for students with visual impairments. And I remember saying, these particular students, I've got 6 in the class, I can't work with just one teaching assistant. Some of them have got no medium of work. I've got 2 of them that have got English as their second and third language. I can't possibly do this. Got to the end of the year, they came and did an observation on me and they said there was issues with my teaching. Actually, no, there wasn't issues with my teaching. You didn't put the support in. So when I said that I'd said that it was a problem at the beginning, they said, no, you hadn't. So that was mistake number 1 that I share with people. If it's not recorded, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And also that the following year, I had some students and I said, I don't think they should go on to do A level. But they're not, the way they work, they don't have the capability to do it, blah, 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 blah. And they said, well, they're going to do it anyway. And I knew that I had one of 2 choices. I was either going to have to stay and fake them through it and help them lots with the coursework, or leave. And I left. And I've done that. I've had lots of jobs. And I just think all it's doing is failing people, because then they get into the workplace or they get into life. And now people are so used to having, or younger people are so used to have prescriptive teaching that they don't learn to problem solve. I've had students say to me, what do I do if I get a question that comes up that I've never had before? Well, you will, because that's what
happens. Yeah,
that's what happens. So it's and it is actually a real worry. I've got a friend that's a physiotherapist, and she would mentor students from the university, and she said they just have no idea how
and that is the big problem of everything going down the e-learning route, because when you go down an e-learning route, right? Oh, and I'm sure it gets smarter as time goes on, and AI behind e-learning will start to look at scenarios and whatever. But what e-learning can't do, and fundamentally doesn't do most of the time at the moment, is doesn't actually make you critically think about what you do
exactly
in a situation. What it does is it says, is it this, or this? Half the time it's just like semantic differentials, it's just like multiple choice, etc. And that's why it's worrying, because people pass this stuff, as you say, because they sit there and they go, oh, that's wrong, I'll try again, oh no, that's wrong, so it must be C's the right answer. So now I'm going to write these all down, and then when I'm going to do it again, and next time I'm going to pass it, and now I've passed it. You've learned diddly squat. All that you've learned is how to do that process so that you pass that right? Nothing's going in. And then you get to a real life situation where you've actually got to think about how a completely different set of situations comes together, and all you see is panicking. People will just panic. They just, oh, I don't know how to deal with this. Oh, I've never been taught how to deal with this. Yes, you haven't been taught how to, because you can't be taught how to deal with each situation. What you need to learn is critical thinking.
Critical thinking, yeah.
That enables you to think properly in that situation and work out what is the best route. Thank you, David, for all of your wonderful comments today, by the way. Lack of support also happens when preschool onboarding more SEND children. Yeah, because they can get funding. Do you know what? Yeah, there's a lot about the school system that could be better. But teachers, I mean, you're doing a great job out there of trying to navigate all of this. Unfortunately, most of the time you don't get the training you deserve. I mean, especially
all the support that they need.
No,
the support and training. I mean, I was telling Lisa about it, of this ADHD course that I've been involved with. I wasn't involved in the initial writing of it. I've helped support it and teaching other people to teach it. And what's great about it is that it will be brilliant at equipping teachers to be able to understand more and be able to offer those students that toolbox, because many of them won't ever be diagnosed, and many of the teachers themselves probably do. A lot of educators are often neurodivergent. You know, I see that. I think you've got to be. I think it helps if you are.
Most education should be a window, right? Yeah. Most education should be a window into getting interested in something, right?
Absolutely.
Not actually just going, you know, a few little facts on something and therefore you tick the box on that, right? Mm-hmm. You do not want courses on things like ADHD or neurodivergence or whatever that tick boxes. You do not want, no, you want, what you want, any course, you want people to leave it going, I need to know more now. Absolutely. I want to know more now. I'm now going to read more. I'm now going to investigate more. I'm now going to find out more. That's what great teaching, training, whatever is.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's where I see with you, Lisa, and other people like Harry, the difference here is that, and when I went to CPD group the other week, to be on their podcast, when I was chatting to Andy from there, he said we get so many people now who, and the lady actually that I spoke to who said her wife had all these problems with the training, said so many people, coaches have said to me, why don't, you've done your job for this amount of time, she's a VA, so you've got longevity there, why don't you now go and teach it? And she said, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't actually be equipped, you know, I wouldn't be able to be equipped to do that. And it's just a huge problem in that so many people then go, right, okay, I can make money now, I can write a course. And so I don't know what your thoughts on this, Lisa, are. I would say there's a big difference between training and education as well. Training, arguably, you're just telling people what to do the job. So if you're talking social care, you train people to use moving and handling, to use a hoist. So what you're saying is, I'm going to show, it could be, I'm going to show you, this is how you do it. But the education comes in the why, which is the bit that often people are lacking. And I think that's why young people don't take things on board. It's why people in the workplace don't. Because if they're not told why they're doing it, they're like, I don't want to do that. Why do I want to do that? If you then teach them why and you educate them. So whenever I do my moving and handling training, they get a lot about the theory in there, about the back, about, you know, I don't know, it could be
the
things
reasons why you're doing moving and handling, to protect yourself and others, to do the job properly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not just telling people, do this. Because they'll find it, they'll probably, more than likely, and I would be the same, no, because I haven't got time.
I'll find a quick route unless you explain the reasons why they have to do it. And that's the difference. Yeah, and again, you know, the education side of that, when they go into more detail, you know, when they're doing their diploma in health and social care level 3 and upwards, that's where you want to give them the basics, and then really delving into why they're doing their job and how they can do it better, because they're learning that information. But people that are doing, you know, diplomas, they are vocational qualifications. So you have to have that element of, they want to do the on-job learning. They need that because they do want that visual, and they do want to watch and see, and the practical side of it, not just sitting and writing and writing and writing, because not everybody learns that way. Some people need a mix of both.
But they also, and I think it's that balance, isn't it, that I hear a lot of people say, oh, but the classroom's boring for people. And I say, change that up. Don't not have the education bit, because that's the other side of it. People say, oh, qualifications are this and that. And I go, actually, a qualification is a standard. That if we take away the word qualification and say it meets a standard, of course, surely everybody would want the person that's, I don't know, doing the electrics in their home, or the person that's treating them at a hospital. You would want them to reach,
to be working at a specific standard. Yeah,
well, that's all it is. What I want to do is we talked about this yesterday.
Imagine that, right? If, like, in years to come, you're lying there about to have a lobotomy in the hospital, and you go, oh yeah, where did you train? YouTube.
No thanks.
I mean, scary, but it could happen, right?
Well, I know, I know I sound like a bit of a geek when I say about it, but I don't think so. You touched on something yesterday when we spoke, Lisa, which is a huge issue out there, and I will keep banging on about it. And now I'm asking to speak at events about this, because one would assume, awful word, but it appears that when you have L&D departments, learning development departments, and training departments, you wouldn't be wrong in thinking that the people that work in those departments would understand how education works and the fundamentals of it, right? So yesterday you highlighted on a point, and it's stuff that's come up from me since I've spoken to the CPD group. So you said you spoke to a lady who came to you and asked about the diploma, level 5, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you then picked up on the fact that you're probably a bit like me. You think that all the other bigger companies get the work and they're doing it. Well, we know they're not doing it better, but you probably in the beginning would have thought they were.
Yeah.
So, she said she struggled to see you, to find you. That's probably because there's a whole heap of sponsored adverts that's probably taking up 2 pages on the internet. But actually, what she went away from you, and I get this, is that you were the first person that knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, she said that I phoned. She said, and you were the first person that actually answered all of my questions, that knew about the course, knew about education, knew about the sector, knew which course I could actually guide her. I could ask her the relevant questions, what she wanted the qualification for, what, you know, how she wanted to learn, what her timescale was. We went into a lot of detail, and that's what she needed. And now she's come on board and she's really happy because she got what she needed, as opposed to somebody on the other end of the phone saying, well, this is the learning outcomes, this is what it is, this is how long it takes, bye.
And essentially those people are salespeople, so they won't know the ins and outs of it. And so that's why I would say to people, you know, don't throw out the possibility of using a smaller provider, because they do know what a qualification is. So since, again, doing this work with the CPD group, or speaking to them, should I say, I now really am out there shouting to people about what CPD is. What is the point in having it? You know, what's the point in having a qualification? In some cases, you don't need to. So if you don't need to have a qualification, as in your sector doesn't say you have to have it, going for something that is CPD accredited is going to be the next best thing, because I know that the what the courses, or whether I'm going to say courses, I suppose, but they do events that are CPD accredited as well. But if it's that course, what they will look on there is that it's got an aim, it's got measurable objectives, and they will look to see how they're assessed. So now I would urge people, yes, you can come to me for this, but I would urge people, please don't just go to AI and put it in there. Please don't just go and shove stuff together into a PowerPoint. You will waste your time, because they will send it back because it won't meet the criteria that they have. They have a very strict criteria. Get somebody, either learn how to do it, so either learn how to train, because that's one of the other things they will be asking, or get someone else to do it, someone like me that does know what they're doing, and you will save yourself a huge amount of time, because you've got to ask yourself that question when you are writing a course, and be honest with yourself. Are you writing a course because you want to make money, or are you writing a course because you want to educate people? And I think people need to start being really honest with themselves about what their motivation is there.
And also making sure that they get the information correct. Exactly. A lot of the times that when you're using AI, it can, unless you know something about that subject itself, it can spit out a load of information that's incorrect. And if you notice at the bottom, it does say, please validate all information because it may not be correct. So you do need to be aware of that. I mean, all of my courses are accredited CPD, because it's continual professional development, and they are updated and they are re-looked at to make sure that any legislation, any changes, you're up to date with the information that you are giving people. So you're able to them correctly.
You know your stuff. So subject wise, and they ask for that. But also you have to meet a criteria for them. And that's what I say to people, when you are buying, you really need to start asking questions. You really need to start asking questions. And, we spoke to somebody else the other day that's got, I don't want to say it, but it's a database for people that are buying training and people that are trainers. And I said, that's great. So somebody can come on if they want to buy training. So they will say what they want, and the trainers list what they do. And I said, but I really honestly think you should have it so that there is a search, you can do a filter to say, if you're buying, I want this person to have a training qualification. I want their training to be CPD accredited, because actually then we start raising the level of quality in that training. Because if the person selling their training, so you, me, whoever, says, or Graham, let's just say you do LinkedIn training, if you knew that people are going to be looking for you, number one, what happens is you've got the people put their lowest price, and then you've got buyers then that go, oh, we'll get the cheapest.
Yeah.
But say people are coming on there because they want to buy quality, make it so that trainer will stand out because they've made the effort to make themselves better. But the feedback I gave was that if you give those filter options, you're giving that person chance, to be better. And we need to start raising the standard, instead of people just going, I don't need to have a training qualification, so I'm not going to have one. Oh, it doesn't need to be this, so I'm not going to have it. Why?
Training's hard work. It's not easy. People think, oh yeah, I can go and be a trainer. That's fine. It's actually quite difficult, because you need to have the subject knowledge. You need to be able to keep the people engaged, because they then have to go away. There's an element of responsibility in what you're doing. So what you'll do is you're training somebody to then be able to go back into their workplace and be competent and confident in the subject area that you have taught them, to be able to then do their job properly and effectively.
I was going to say, let's separate those two bits off, right? Because the first bit of that is a sales skill, and the second bit of that is a teaching skill, right? And the problem is that lots of people have got the first bit.
Yeah.
Lots of people have got the first bit. Can I stand up in a room full of people? Can I entertain them? Can I get them to feel good about the experience that they've just had? Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. So when I go and I do that and I deliver to them, they come out buzzing. Right. And quite often, that's what we're seeing, is that training managers who have no qualification in training will say, I love all of my trainers who have no qualifications in training because they get great results. And you say, right, but when do you get the results? Oh, well, afterwards, they ask people what they thought of the training and they get them to feel, and they all go, yeah, it was brilliant. Right. It's because, you know, if you go and see Father Christmas just before Christmas Day in a department store, you'll have a great experience seeing Father Christmas, right? If you thought about it like 2 months later, you might go, well, actually, the toy that he gave out was a load of rubbish. But this is exactly the same, right? So the reality of, you know, the hype will dissipate, and the reality of what we haven't actually learned and what we can't actually put into practice happens after people get the feedback problem. So yeah, but getting those two things together, and it goes back to my thing about, actually, why do you want all training to give you a great nice experience? Because, or all learning to give you a great nice experience, because some learning needs to hurt.
Yeah,
and it needs to be serious. Some training is very important, you know, because you're looking at dealing with people's lives, for instance, and therefore there needs to be an element of taking this seriously.
Yeah, I teach lorry driver trainers, you know, and they will have to get people to look at accidents that happen, that sort of thing. And I just say before we go, Lisa, do you think that you teach qualifications, don't you?
Yes.
And so I don't, you don't have to, but and the same, Harry did the same. And I think it's when you're a teacher and you've taught qualifications that I actually on the AT do go through what a scheme of work is. I go through what a syllabus is, and I show people how a course is built. So I relate it to me writing my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, look, right at the beginning, what you start with is what the syllabus is and what the aim is and what the objectives are. And so when I went into the care sector and I found out there were no standards or no criteria, I was going, what? Like what? Because I taught A levels and GCSEs. I was like, where's the criteria? And people are going, there aren't any. What worries me is that how the number of trainers that I know don't actually know what an aim is, an objective, or how to write them. I'm like, seriously? That is the first thing. So if somebody says to me, can you come and do some training on such and such a company? I will say to them, what do you want it to cover? As in, what do you want? What are your objectives? What do you want them to be able to do at the end? And people go, I want you to put this in it. I said, I'm not asking you what you want me to put in it. I will worry about that. What do you want them to get out of it?
Yeah.
And then I get faces and I go, until you work that out, I can't do anything with you, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Because you want to know ultimately what the objective is of the training. What's the content that they need? I think the mistake
people often make is that they don't start in the right way. I spoke to John last night and I said, planning training is actually very simple. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to work out what your aim is. You then work out what your objectives are. You then run to the end of your training, because that is what you're going to be assessing them on. So you will think of ways to assess it.
Yep.
So I've worked with a dental nurse, and she says, my first training session. I said, right, okay, go, because it was a qualification. I said, go and get me what the objectives are. So she gave me them. And I said, right, okay, that goes at the beginning. This goes at the end. So you've now got to work out a way to assess them. You can work with that. I said, now I just need you, now I can give it back to you and go, and so I could do it in a lesson plan. So I've got, this is this objective, that's the assessment. Now all I need you to do is just put your stuff in. Yeah. That's the stuff that you know. It's really, really quite simple.
Yeah.
But because people don't tackle it from the right way, they start from the beginning and they shove all the stuff in a PowerPoint and go, oh, there's too much in there. I go, well, of course there is, because you've literally given them all of your, if you think about a shop, you've given them all of your range. You probably could have broken that down into a number of different ranges or different subjects or whatever.
Yeah.
But people don't do that because they don't learn. So just given away how easy it is to do. I do. It's not actually that easy, because if like knowing how to write the lesson plan and stuff, but effectively,
give that information.
Got to have that scaffolding in place.
Yeah.
So people overcomplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that easy at all. I think you I think you're sort of like putting yourself down there, really.
No, but fundamentally,
I think the principle for you, Marianne, is easy because you are a teacher, so that's what you do. So the actual principle of how you put the training together is, for you, it's simple, but actually for somebody that doesn't know anything about it, trying to sit there and comprise, you know, all of those together, it's very overwhelming.
I would definitely, I think that's where you said, as a trainer, what people don't see is the time, and Graham's seen it with me, the time that goes into creating something of value, not just shoving something down on there. No. It takes a lot of time, and I would definitely urge people. I've got the guy that I'm working with that's got ADHD. He said, look, I've got this course, I've written it. He said, can you help me CPD accredit it? It would have been ideal to have worked with him from the beginning. I would definitely urge people, particularly if your business is busy already, to let somebody else help you with that, because you will mess around, you will find other things to do, you will put so much time into it, and yet if you get somebody else that can help you with it, either let them do it. And like, I had to ask him questions, and he said, I wanted to tell you to F off sometimes because you kept pushing me. And he said, but I knew that was a good thing. So I would definitely urge somebody, like, you know what you're doing, but I bet you stayed up all night before. You've had to sacrifice work because you knew that you had to get that damn course done, because until you got the course done, you couldn't deliver it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen,
sorry, I get down off my high horse now. Sorry.
It's been a great conversation, and we've gone over time today, but we could today because we were live. Normally, I have to trim it to an hour, otherwise I can't reshare it. But that's just how it works. That's how the technology works. If people want to find out a little bit more, I can now do this thing where I can press this button here, and up in this corner here, a QR code appears, and if you can work out how to scan your phone screen whilst watching your phone screen, or grab someone else's phone, that's often easier. But if you scan that, you'll get a website about ducks. No, you won't. That's a little StreamYard logo. You will actually get to see Marianne's new website, which explains a whole load more about the process. So there you go.
I just wanted to make it clear, although Lisa has started off in the care sector, from what we said yesterday, there's a lot of crossover into other sectors. So things like the security sector now needing to, and I'm going to use that word, needing to be aware of their employees having neurodiversity training, having like dementia training, learning disability, that sort of thing, and hospitality. So and I would urge people, because I know Lisa, but I don't have any invested interest, so to speak. But when I see someone like Lisa that's got a business, that's done it the right way, that's said, okay, I really enjoy this, I want to start a business, I can make money out of this, but that you probably never would have done it if you thought like that anyway. But I really use businesses who their main aim isn't about shoving everything out there. It's about actually doing quality, because you really will get back.
Yeah. And we want to hear from you. If you're lucky enough to have those wonderful skills of enchanting people with your personality, and you've learned how to do something very successfully, and now you want to get more people to be able to do that and scale up your business by training other people to do what you do, and then maybe even franchise it and all of those wonderful things, bring us your course. Let Marianne have a look at your course, so that actually you make more money. It's a wonderful thing. You could actually do what you do with your wonderful personality really well, and leave people actually knowing how to do this, so that actually you make even more money there. What a wonderful reason to do it.
Yeah.
If nothing else. And
Thank
then
you
you
for
can
coming on,
spend
Lisa.
bringing it round full circle. Then you can go to Magaluf more often.
More often, yeah.
Spend more
Big
time
cocktails by the beach.
sipping cocktails by the beach and getting a tan, if
Yeah.
that's your want. There we go.
And we are as well going to be starting a trainer network of sorts. Got a new name, Lisa. I need to speak to you about that.
Okay, good.
There you go. It's
Exciting.
called Nigel, the training network. We will be back. No, it's not. We will be back.
You don't know that.
Same time next week. If any of you are watching live today, do join us at 1 o'clock today for our weekly tea and a chat. It literally is that. We have no agenda. We have no sales pitches. We ban them. In fact, it's people from LinkedIn platform meeting together, having a cup of tea, and we keep the conversation going. If you just want to turn up and just listen, you can do that as well. But we always have a fun hour, and people are really enjoying it. So if you want to do that as well, please do look for that on LinkedIn and come and join us at 1 o'clock. We'll be back next week. From Lisa, Marianne, and myself, bye for now.